My advice to all young writers is this. If you want to be a writer like me, first of all you must be fated. Why don't you start with your pen and your heart and the need to know how they're related? You must begin with your story within. When you long to feel somehow connected, get into the flows of life as it goes, along on its path unexpected. My advice to all young writers is this. Come and be at this table. Come and take what is mine to share with you. And if you're able, you must give what is thine to give, thine to give forever. There's the lover, and there is the beloved. As one solid body together, the love of my life is humanity.
Hi there.
Here we are. Hello.
How are you, Suzanne?
I'm okay.
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay, that looks good.
So I'm a little sort of like just getting used to this.
Right. Take your time. There you go. Good, thank you.
Looking very fish-eyed for a minute.
I know. I've kind of set up this very fisheye kind of setup here, just to give you the sense of this. Oh, there you go. That's great.
That's a little better. Unfortunately, then, oh gosh, I see all these details. Okay, well, whatever.
Well, I think, you know, if I were a religious person, I'd say God is right in there. But, you know, since I'm not, we'll use it as a metaphor or something.
Okay.
I think I'm in a place you have a little bit of a connection to. It's a radio station, so right there, right? But I think you've actually talked to the morning guy here. His name is Rick, and at WKZE in Red Hook, New York.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
yeah.
So that's where we're talking. Red Hook, New York. All right, got it.
That's where I am yes, I work at here, in it, but it's sort of like a number of like converging things that have brought us together today. And another, you know, like you just did this incredible or remarkable film version of your show, Lover Beloved, which we're going to talk about.
Fantastic.
And the guy who directed that is a friend of mine. Michael Tully is an old friend of mine. Going back many years before he moved to Austin, and he's done this podcast a number of times. So I would just wanted to have you on because I'm just a fan of your music and your songwriting, going back some time now. So I thought, I always wanted to talk to you and meet you. This is a great opportunity. And then it turns out that the press person, the publicist said, you know, she has this thing that's being filmed or was filmed. And I said, oh, great, perfect, even more, because it's a film podcast more than and then it turned out that I'm friends with the director.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then I watched it and I was blown away, I have to say. So that even makes it even more special. But so where are you, just so we can have a context?
I'm at home in New York.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go on tour in a couple of weeks.
I see. I know you're going to Europe and where else?
Europe, yeah, basically. Yeah. We've had some dates on the calendar for 2 years, so we're basically trying to catch up.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. I kind of had a sense that after 2 years, that just everybody would be out and every place would be booked solid, because it's like everybody's just hungry to get back out and connect with the audiences again and with their music.
Yeah, that's definitely been the case. We took little baby steps last fall, sort of in between surges of COVID. Fortunately, no one has ever gotten sick on tour. We got some of the members of my entourage have gotten sick in between, but we're super careful, and so we've been lucky so far. Yeah, but it's been great. We've gone from playing like 1 or 2 shows a month to a few shows a week. And recently, I did a 2.5-week tour through the Midwest, and that was great. And now we're doing like 5 to 6 weeks in Europe. So
amazing!
Woohoo! Yeah,
yeah. They've got good wine in Europe, and I'm just going to throw a couple of tips to you, if you don't mind. And the food in certain countries is pretty good, and etc. and what kind of venues? What kind of venues? Thank you. What kind of venues are you primarily playing in?
Well, apparently in Germany, I just did an interview for the German media, and apparently I'm playing small venues there, like small folk clubs or small rock clubs. But I do know that I'm also playing the usual festival circuit. So I'm playing Glastonbury again, which I've done many times. I think I'm playing the Cambridge Folk Festival. So I'm really looking forward to those as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the summer festival tour. It's just really great.
Oh, I imagine, because first of all, you're running into old friends of yours that you crisscross over the years, right? And on the road. And then also you're probably very grateful to be introduced to all this new music that maybe you haven't been exposed to before, right?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it depends on the schedule. A lot of times,
that's true.
But this year is particularly exciting because my daughter is coming to Glastonbury. Her dad is playing with Crowded House because he was their producer, and now he's part of the band. So she gets to go to Glastonbury and see both her mom and her dad. I'm playing the acoustic tent, and Mitchell Froome is playing the main stage with Crowded House. So
yeah, no, I know about that. I guess I got there also. I'm like waiting for them to come through because I just have to be. I know they just were doing the Australia tour dates, and so can you ask through your husband ask
he's
Nick,
my ex-husband, by the way.
I'm sorry. Oh, ex. I'm sorry about that. Sorry that I didn't know. I mean, not
That's
sorry
okay.
that he's your ex.
Friends. I mean, we're still friendly. Yeah.
I have the same situation too. I was going to try to get a message over to Nick Finn, yeah, just to please lower, if he could figure out how to I like to sometimes play their songs on and I find Weather With You is impossible to change the key because the instrumental takes the entire fretboard of the guitar. So I can't, if I can't change the key, I'd have to learn, so I can't sing that high. He's got an incredible. You have that? Do you have that problem?
I'll tell him.
Thank you.
That it needs to be changed. There needs to be a new recording put out for the fans who need a different key.
Nick, yeah. No, I'm a huge fan, and your ex-husband's too. Now I'm just fawning. It's ridiculous. But it threw me off. Of course, I was very focused before.
Okay.
Now you have a. What about you? Since I brought this up, I have a question that I've always wanted to ask you, which is your particular vocal style is, as you know, because it's yours, that it's very singular, it's very unique. You sing in a lower register, typically, although actually in this Carson McCullers project we're going to talk about, you do actually, there are some exceptions in there, but you typically write in this particular range. And what is that like for you? And do you feel limited vocally, sometimes like an emotional tension you want to achieve by singing, belting out something in a higher range?
Well, let's see. I think my vocal style is sort of what it's all boiled down to over the years. And yes, I do tend to sing in a lower range. Although it was, first of all, it was Duncan Sheik, the composer, who sort of forced me into an upper range. he's like, why do you keep singing so far down here? Here's what I'd like to hear, you know, and then he'd put some high note here, or make a melody that was much more graphic, you know, to have high parts and low parts. And I found I could accommodate that. And
Yeah, he
so
did.
I've actually been taking lessons, and I've sort of discovered a whole upper range that
Wow.
I'm becoming very comfortable and confident in. And he really showed me that I had much more range. The teacher that I'm working with has shown me that I have much more range than I ever imagined. So which is kind of amazing, because most people's ranges sort of get smaller as you get older, and mine seems to be expanding.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Very cool.
I think I've always done what's effective. And in the beginning, I had to learn how to sing into a microphone. And so I did whatever I had to do to get Steve Adabo to let me to stop singing the vocals. Steve Adabo was my first producer, and he would just send me
Standing years.
Yeah, and Suzanne Vega, the first album.
Suzanne Vega.
So I learned to do whatever it took to get it, to get him to stop making me sing it again, whatever that was, you know. And so, because I'd say, what did I do wrong? And he'd say, it's just not right, do it again. So eventually I figured out what that thing was. A, it had to be in tune. B, it had to be more or less in time. And then if I ever tried to give it a little extra, usually it sounded really bad. There was a moment in Luca, for example, where I was trying to make Luca sound really tough. And so I was singing, I live upstairs from you. And he made me stop doing that. He just said, no. So
I'd like to hear that version, though.
You just did. That's the only time you're ever going to hear it.
That's true. I have an exclusive.
Yeah, so I learned to phrase very simply, and that's worked for me.
Very effectively. And by the way, I just heard Marlene on the Wall the other day here, so I was very excited. It made me all very excited to talk to you. And then anyway, so this strange coincidence where I was presented with Lover Beloved, and I turned it on. My girlfriend was over. We turned it on, and I have to say, both she teaches writing and English class. So that was interesting. But man, I just, first of all, I didn't know you were an actor. Did you know before you went and started this?
Doing it. I've never actually been described as an actor, even when I have acted. I mean, I did an off-Broadway play, for example, right when the pandemic hit, and I got a great review in the New York Times. I got a standout review, sure. But I did notice that he didn't say my acting was good. He said I was he just talked about my presence on the stage. Okay. So I've never actually had anybody say, oh, she's an actor, but I feel it. But, it's not something that's been reviewed in that way yet. So I'm timid of owning that.
I understand.
But I get a huge amount of pleasure from doing it.
Did you? Oh, that's important. But I can say it because that's no small thing. You transformed. I don't want to sound too, I don't know, what's the adjective, platitudinal or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like you completely transformed. I didn't recognize you. If I didn't, so the ultimate compliment is, if I didn't know that was you, I would not have guessed that was you. I mean, I would have known it was you in the first section, which is that I should tell people that are watching or listening that it's broken into two parts. This one woman show. I'm going to use shorthand. And the first part is they're both talks given by Carson McCullers at the 92nd Street Y in 15 years apart, right?
Yeah, they're 15 years apart. They're fictional. She did give one talk there in the 50s. Okay. And I fictionalized this to be two separate events so that I got the arc of her life in the play. So the first one is roughly 1940, and the second one is 1967.
Oh, I could see how that structure would be helpful to you for telling this arc and this story and the first story.
It's actually 1942, I believe. Yeah, 1942 to 1967. It's a 15-year span. including civil rights. And, you know, it was a huge, those 15 years were very meaningful in America as well. So, so that was how I structured that. Yeah.
And Carson McCullers was alive from I didn't know this, 1917 to 1967. So she was 51.
She was 50 years old.
50 years old when she died. 50 years old. I mean, yeah, that's remarkable too. What a short time to accomplish so much.
Yeah.
And but okay, so just talk at least a little bit about, you know, just making a choice to do this particular, like what spoke to you and about Carson McCullers and her story. I mean, you mentioned one thing, which is the time frame, and you know how she was maybe in a way an avatar maybe of a particular time or something, but there's got to be a lot more to it.
Yeah, well, I've had a fascination with her since I was a student at Barnard. I was taking an acting class. It was a musical theater class.
Oh.
And we were given an assignment to come in dressed as someone in the arts who was no longer alive and be ready to field questions as though we were on television. And I had I'd seen her biography when it first came out. I saw it in the library. It came out in the 70s. And I saw her photograph and I thought, I bet I could, if I ever had to play somebody, I bet I could play that woman. I had read one or two of her short stories. She wrote this great short story called Sucker, which I read, and I was a big fan of.
Succor?
No, Sucker.
Okay.
Sucker. It's very, very slangy. And the story is a really tough, it's a very well-written story. So I thought Carson McCullers was a man, and I thought she was sort of a contemporary to me in the 70s. But it turns out Carson McCullers is a woman, and she had written the story 20 years before. So I got the biography out of the library and read it all in one night and put together a costume and bought a pack of cigarettes and came in the next day ready to be her. And that sort of grew a deep root. And I ended up doing my thesis on her, and then it's sort of been something played with over the years. Yeah, the reason I think I thought then, and I still think now, that she's very modern, and that she's not a person who just writes about people in their predicaments. She actually embodies who she writes about. She was disabled. She had many strokes because of her rheumatic fever. She was bisexual. That's her term for it was dual natured. And she just had this gift, I think, for writing about her characters with a lot of compassion and sensitivity. Not like that so much in her daily life, where she was kind of she was a character, you know. She was no saint. So I love all the contradictions in her character.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I love that this was something that was gestating for decades. I mean, that's just, you know, it probably.
I mean, it's been it's been a little crazy, but I've enjoyed all of it. And every time a door opened, I went through it. Basically, if someone said, "Oh, you have a script, I'd like to see it," I said, "Great," you know, and that led to an off-Broadway version in 2010, and then we did another version of it. I rewrote the whole thing, and we had another version in 2018. And so this film is the version from 2018.
Got it. And well, but I mean, it shows in the work, you know, that this is something that is clearly you've had a lot of time to understand your subject, you know, like that.
Yeah.
The
problem was always knowing where to stop. You know, that when I did the play in 2018, it was like an hour and 45 minutes long, which is a long time for a one-woman show. And I still felt that there were so many more avenues we could have gone down and things to explore and that sort of thing.
That's where collaboration is helpful, I assume. But
Yeah, but you'd be surprised, you know, if you have a female dramaturg, they want to know about her wedding to Reeves, you know, and they want all those details. And then when I was working with Michael Tully, he was just like, nope, and he just got out that red pen and sliced it
Really?
down.
He was good at that?
Yeah, 1 hour and 18 minutes. He's great at that. He's not only a good director, but he has a very fine mind for like the timing of things. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, like in music, there's a rhythm and there's a syncopation or something that you're achieving.
Yeah, he was able to work with me on just boiling things down. Sometimes I had to fight to get something to be put back in. You know, so there was that. We had those moments in the play when I'm like, but Michael, you've taken out the you can't take out two nooses, you know, the scene, two nooses.
Oh,
you know,
that was very powerful.
Climax of the film. So I had to put it back in. We
filmed that. Well, he made you fight for it. That's good. It's good, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there moving footage of her? Is there motion picture of Carson McCullers out there?
There's a tiny bit. There's one piece of footage that we found of her on a boat. And she's, it's like a 2-minute, ask Michael to send it to you. It's fascinating. She's on a boat and she's doing an interview on this moving ship. And they're talking to her about her work and her writing. And you see her, you see what she looks like, you see how she moves and how she speaks, which is very distinctive.
And I see a distinctive style of, especially it's very, very prominent in the first part when she, you know, in the 1942 section, because she's, you know, does this thing with her eyes that I don't even know how you did that. I'm not sure how you managed. I can only think it must have been exhausting from a facial standpoint, muscle standpoint. Because I mean, it was just so unique, and at first I found it distracting, but then I was just mesmerized.
Well, I'm really, really happy to hear that. That's really great. I've gotten quite a few responses. You know, it had its debut a couple of months ago at South by South.
Right.
And it got a few really great reviews, and then we had some reviews of people who were like, what is this? You know, what is this all about? So it's great when someone really connects with it. And, you know, I find that especially teachers who teach writing love it. And anyone who knows Carson McCullers or loves her work, love it. And a very old couple came to me at this party of the night of the premiere and said, we don't know anything about you, but we love Carson McCullers. And
That's
today's a special day for us because you brought her to life.
You
and
did.
We feel as though we've seen her. And that meant everything to me. I was really happy about that.
Yeah. And then you gave them a couple of CDs to go out for their trip back on. So, and where did you shoot it? Because there's a spot, I noticed that I'm mostly prepared, but a couple of things are for some reason like I'm not remembering everything, but and I've been in his house too, and the founder of South by Southwest, who is a producer on the film,
Louis Black,
and not the comedian, but he's the Austin native who founded South by Southwest.
He's actually a native of New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay.
But he lived there for years and years, and also
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy, but that's another podcast episode. I love the guy, but he's anyway. Yeah. So he I remember the last time I talked to him, which has got to be 5-6 years ago, easily, when the last time I attended, maybe, we were at there was a party and it was in a big studio. That had to be the place you shot it. I'm thinking.
Oh, it might have been. It was the Film Center, the Austin Film Center.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where Michael's wife works.
Right. Holly. She runs the Austin Film Society. Right.
Yeah. So it was there. It was on the back lot of that place.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's where they had this party. And I was just imagining, that's got to be where I'm just going to guess that's where it is. But have you ever been to his house? Did you ever
Yes, many times. Yeah.
Oh, you have. Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah. Downstairs, I interviewed. I've interviewed. I had a one interview set up for and downstairs. He just like had set it up as a theater, like a little cinema down there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I've been there. I've seen some great films there.
Yeah. Oh, you really? Oh, so you're way ahead of me. I just was there hanging out with John Sayles one afternoon. That's all, which was pretty nifty, I have to say.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay, so it's called Lover Beloved, and it's been in some festivals. Now we don't have to keep this part necessarily in, but I'm just wondering, like, where eventually people will be able to see it. Is that still in the works? I assume
it is. Yeah, we are trying to. There's a way of distributing it so that it in the future it will come to your town and be in an art theater. There's going to be a theatrical release, and it will also be downloadable at the same time. So it's not like a normal distribution deal where it just goes out on the road to, it's something that we control ourselves.
I understand. Right.
It's a little more complicated than I know how to exactly describe. I've forgotten the name.
You did a great job. No. I mean, there is also like places, there are also organizations now or have been that where you can have like, collected like crowdsourced screenings also as well, like where, or, and maybe that can be done from the creative side. In other words, you guys could decide to host a screening and then sell the tickets. And I think it's a great idea. And also, I think it's a natural for educational distribution too, because of the subject. I mean, it's
exactly. I think that's where it's going to find its most ardent fans. I think that
right.
That's because people who are my fans are mixed. Some of them are like, wow, yeah, this is great. And other people are like, what is all of this? Carson is a very polarizing figure, and some people love her and some people really hate her. They really don't like her. She lies and she's, so odd. So there's that, but I think ultimately it will find its niche in the educational world.
I guess so. I mean, I think, I've invited you on, so that says it all right there. Like, I'm supporting this project. I think anybody who also, and there's a CD that came out, right? I think it may not be your last CD, but came out like in the last 2 years.
It came out in 2016.
Oh, that far back. Okay.
Yeah. So there's probably going to be because some of the songs have changed. I've written so many songs for this, for all the different versions of the play, whatever was on board at the time.
Sure.
So I think there will also ultimately be a soundtrack of the film that will be released at some point soonish. Like the first song, Advice to Young Writers, I wrote that for the 2018 production. So there's all kinds of other songs.
One of my favorites, personally, if I can just mention it, is Harper Lee. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I was singing along, right? Harper. I was singing along by the second chorus. So
good. I was really making myself laugh when I wrote it. I mean, I had taken words right out of her biography. Most of them are verbatim, and just tweaked them a little bit to make them rhyme and sing, except the final line, which was written actually by Duncan Sheik. I'd like to kill more than just that mockingbird was something she never said, but Duncan Sheik wrote it, and I snatched it and put it down as the final line.
Did he mind? Doesn't he have like an album but called Mockingbird or something? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
He might. Nightingale, probably.
Okay. But I like that, I was thinking, being before I knew he was involved, because Duncan Sheik, of course, many people know from years of singer-songwriter, and then it went into the theater writing, musicals. I hear he's had some success with it.
You're being ironic. I can tell.
And so I've always wanted to talk to him too, because I think he's I love his career and what he's been doing. And I think what you did is also very, I mean, I know this is a platitude and I know it sounds cliche, but I think it's a very brave work. I mean, I just do. And I think the second part of that was a very brave thing to do.
But she's older.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it just was, because we're such a youth. obsessed society, and
Youth
I just thought,
obsessed society. Yeah.
you
The
know.
funny thing is, when I did it live, I got complaints that maybe I was too old to do the first act, and I was way too youthful to do the second one.
Yeah,
I got people complaining that I didn't seem old enough to be as ill as she was. So thank God for that. I mean, I guess I can do that second act forever.
Well, you're right. Well, you're acting, and you did a great job. I appreciate. It's called Lover Beloved, and we'll keep in touch with the progress. It's progress, and I'll be happily remind people when they can see it. And
fantastic. Yeah, that'll be great. And you should contact Michael Tully too and make sure.
Oh yeah, and it's another reason when it does come out, I can have him on to talk about that too. So
absolutely.
I guess I want to wish you a happy birthday. I know it's coming up next week.
No, it's coming up in July.
Oh, it's July? So Wikipedia is wrong.
My birthday is July 10th.
It's July 10th?
July 11th.
Oh, July 11th. So maybe I just read it wrong, because I wrote down June 11th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's July.
But anyway, but still, I'll leave it. Happy birthday coming this summer. And I hope to see you on the last question. I'll let you go. And that is, after Europe, do you have any dates set up back in the States yet? Or I know you did the Midwest, you said a little while ago.
Yeah, we did the Midwest a few weeks ago. We'll be back in the Midwest next spring, doing some dates on the West Coast in September, the late September.
It's all too far off, and I live in the Hudson Valley now, so I need something closer.
Something closer. Oh, there's City Winery. Well, City Winery around the holidays.
The end of the year, in other words.
End of the year, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll plan on seeing that then.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll remember. Okay, I'm going to just make myself a note to make sure I come to that, because I would definitely come see you live again. It's been a long time. I saw you years and years ago. It had to be after Solitude Standing, well after that, but not much closer to then than now. And it was at some Central Park thing, and it was, so many years ago. Do you remember that? It could have been that Woody Guthrie project. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, like a summer
with Billy Bragg. Thing. It was a summer stage thing.
Definitely, I sort of do remember.
So many years. It's so
probably
many years.
The 90s. Yeah.
It was.
Well, Jerry Leonard, who I tour with, he lives in the Hudson Valley. I mean, he lives up there. So, there's that.
Well, there's no shortage of spots up here or music, that's for sure. But I want to see you. So there.
Yeah. We just played in Woodstock.
Okay. I think I did see that you did. All right. Well, have an amazing time on the road in Europe. Don't forget the wine and the food.
Thank you. Okay.
Enjoy that, and have some great shows. I know you will.
Thank you so much for your kind words. The encouragement that I've gotten one-on-one from people who've seen the film is just it's really meaningful to me. Because it's been such a turny kind of project, and I've gotten some great, wildly enthusiastic feedback, such as yours and some other people, it's just terrific, and I'm really, really happy.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, no, and I know that your music, you're comfortable with you have an audience, and you have you're a known quantity, you have a reputation, you have the years of colleagues that know you, and all these things that make your music I'm sure quite at least comfortable. And then this is brand new, and it's got to be terrifying, but at the same time, I think it's a tremendous work. I do. So you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now I hope not to like the next album, so I can balance it out a little bit. I sound rather fawning. And
I'll see what I can do. All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much. Nice to meet you too.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.